Good afternoon. Welcome to the KCAA Broadcasting Network radio show. I'm your host, Toya, Tillett, in conjunction with the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club and the Finest Women in Real Estate. So a little bit about myself. My name is Toya Tillett. I am the broker owner of Tillett Realty Group, and I'm also the CEO of Tax Plus Financial Services. So what I do is I help my clients put together portfolios that include not only commercial, residential, and multifamily properties, but also international properties as well, while maximizing their tax benefits. So it is tax season. So I hope you guys are getting prepared and getting ready for that, especially my business owners. I hope you have all your receipts and everything together, and don't stress your CPA or your tax person out this tax season. Have everything together. So without further ado, I would like to introduce my guest for today, actually. And so I want to thank her a lot for joining me at the last minute. Her name is Michelle Estrella. She is the branch manager for Guild Mortgage in the city of Wildomar. So welcome to the show, Michelle.
Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So this is exciting. So I love to talk to lenders in the industry because, of course, as a broker and working as a sales agent for a number of years, been almost 18 years now. And the one thing that always boggles my mind, and I never seem to be able to master it before something changes, is the lending side. So if you don't mind, we can kind of talk a little bit about your history, what kind of brought you into the mortgage industry?
Okay. That's interesting because I don't think I've met anybody who actually dreamed of being a loan officer. I don't, I haven't met anybody actually. So I never really thought ahead of time about being a loan officer. The way that I got into the business was that I was 19 in 1984. So that you could do the math.
Okay.
1984, I was working for a courier service while I was going to school. I'm going to college, junior college, and I was working for a courier service who delivered packages, any paperwork having to do with contracts, loan docs, escrow paperwork. It was a title account. So we went to real estate offices, lender offices, escrow offices, title offices, and sometimes attorney's office. And when I was doing my route, I just noticed, the mortgage industry and the people who were working at some of the places where I was delivering loan docs or signed contracts or executed escrow instructions, and I applied. Okay. So I applied on my route, and I got a job in the funding department to start out. That was in 1984. So in March this year, 2023, it'll be 39 years that I have been in the lending industry.
Wow, that is amazing. So I'm like, oh my goodness, you said 84. I was actually born in 1981. So I was a toddler when you started, but hey, you look amazing. So hey, I wouldn't feel anything about it because I even kind of feel that way too. And I'm like, oh, I've been doing real estate. It'll be 18 years next month. And I'm like, wow, 18 years.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I can't even believe it,
Yeah.
Where has the time gone? Even 10 years.
Right. Yeah. So, it flies right on by. So you told us a little bit of how you got into the loan industry by starting on your route. So like you said, that wasn't really your big dream when you were younger, like, hey, I'm going to go and be a loan officer.
Right.
So how has the market been for you? I mean, being in the industry for 39 years, I can only imagine some of the things you've seen, like me personally, I went through that downturn, but from what I'm hearing, that wasn't the first time that has happened. So what have you seen over the 39 years? Like, what has been some of the changes you've seen in the market and with the lending industry, especially?
Well, it's interesting because in all those years, it has stayed the same more than it has changed. If we look at it from a big scope.
Okay.
And back in the day, qualifying for a mortgage wasn't much different than it is today. in the current market. Obviously technology has made a difference. We didn't have FICO scores. We didn't have technology. I didn't even have email.
Wow.
I know we had, computers, but most of the things that we reviewed were paper. And when we drew loan documents, there wasn't any email to email loan documents. So that's why I was working for a courier service. We had to
Right.
drive everything, contracts and everything everywhere. You couldn't just do an email.
Wow.
So as far as, the technology and things that are available, that has changed a lot. As far
Mhm.
as the tactical aspect of it, it hasn't changed much. If you look at it over time, we did have different programs that change over time, but really the qualifying for a loan, it's
Mhm.
surprising how much it is still the same.
Oh, okay.
And as far as different markets, like the ebbs and flows, the highs, the lows, it's always a cycle.
Mm.
I think we used to be able to depend on something more cyclical before technology. And I think the reason why we could do that is because there wasn't all of the information. The data wasn't like just thrown at us regularly about what we should do. So, right now it's like information overload and sensory overload
Mhm.
with everyone's opinions and what you could do. So we didn't have that. So it was really just, like a slower paced, people like to buy homes in summertime and when the kids are out of school and stay indoors in their home until maybe the Super Bowl and then get back out in the spring. And, it was different in that way, but I've seen a lot of different markets. I haven't seen, in my opinion, I think that as far as a good market and a bad market, as far as the buyer and the seller are concerned, I
Mhm.
think that the only market that there is one that meets their needs. It's like if you're ready to buy a home and you have the means and the willingness to pay the debt and some sense of income stability or something
Right.
fairly predictable and you can afford to buy a home, it's time.
Okay.
And obviously, if you need to sell a home or you would like to sell a home, I sold a home at Christmas. And back then, I think that might have been 20 years ago, everybody was saying, no one wants to go, buy a home during the holidays.
Right.
But
Right.
it's really not true. There's a need for everyone at a certain time. And yeah, if you put your home up on the market at a price and it doesn't sell, then hey, it might not. But the time to act on your life and your needs is when you're ready. So there's really not, I would say a specific time for everyone, because in addition, if there's a specific time for everyone and everyone is trying to do it, it changes everything anyway.
That's true.
So, it's like, a sale on flat screen TVs. Well, if everybody's trying to buy one, you might not get one. If
That's
everyone
yeah,
needs
like
one and there
Black
aren't any,
Friday.
the prices might go up. So,
Mhm.
you know, there's a sense of just the straight economics around all markets, but homeownership is just a very personal, individual thing. And everyone will go through that journey possibly in a different way, and really trying to time it for other specific reasons other than your own personal reasons usually doesn't work out maybe like you would think.
Mhm. That is true, and that's always what I tell, people who call me up all the time because you know how it is. Hey, is this a good time to buy? Is this a good time to sell? And I'm like, the best time to buy or sell is when you have that question. So if you're
Yeah.
already questioning it, then you're thinking about it. So it's time for you to make a move and do it.
Yep. 100%.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I like that a lot. So um, you know, lending, it always has that how do I want to say it? It's kinda like that catch-22 thing for me or for my buyers sometimes, and so, we'll feel like, "Oh, hey, they can afford this much rent, they should be able to afford a mortgage around that." But then sometimes we get to the qualification table and, it's like, "Oh, you need to wait a year," or "You need to show more income." Can you give the listeners out there kind of a summary of what it takes to actually purchase a home. I know people, that burning question is always, if I want to buy a $500,000 house, how much money do I need to make? Okay, we can't
Mm,
really get that detailed into it, but if you could
mhm.
just give them a general idea of what to expect and what they need to actually qualify for a home.
Okay. So I will say that lending is very nuanced, and there's sometimes so many moving parts that when I'm talking to a client, I feel like that could definitely be sensory overload. But as a lender, I'm starting first that if there's like a four-legged stool,
Hmm.
uh, we need four legs. And
Okay.
sometimes we might have three, sometimes we might have two, sometimes we might have one. Sometimes if we look at a different program, we
Hmm.
have two different legs over here and two different legs over here, but we don't have four on each.
Oh, wow.
So the criteria, if we think about it in that way, is we need to meet a minimum FICO score.
Okay.
That will be different for a different program, but there will be something that will be a minimum score. So for whatever program we're going for, that'll be one thing we need to do. We need to meet the maximum allowable debt to income ratio for the specific program. And this is going back to the how much do I need to make if I want to afford X, is that it's just as a general, very general, because again, very nuanced, but very
Right.
general, about, let's say, 36 to 40%, maybe up to 45% of your gross income for your housing payment. So that's for your ratio. So your
Okay.
payment in relationship to your gross income will be somewhere between like 36 and 40 to 45. And
Okay.
then your overall debt, which will be the new house payment as well as any debt,
Hmm.
uh, installment, so auto student loans, other mortgages, credit card debt, personal loans, all of that and the house payment in relationship to your income can go up to approximately 50%. There's programs that go up to 56, but you're going to need to be in a sweet spot for whatever program that you need, and it's going to be the two ratios. So we have FICO score, we have debt to income ratio.
Hmm.
Then the other piece is your employment history overall. Again, very nuanced to different programs, but you're going to want to show the income that demonstrates your ability as well as your willingness to pay your debt. So your ability to pay your debt would be, is your income going to continue? Are you relatively secure? Have you shown a past work history that demonstrates you know, you would go forward with some type of a secure income?
Okay.
So those are the main things. And then if you're looking for like a special program, the last might be that you need to fit in with a certain amount of income. So there's an income eligibility and then there's an income qualifying, but the income eligibility might be something that you need for a specific program.
Okay. All right. Awesome. That's amazing. So, um, I'm happy to hear it broken down that way because I've dealt with lots of lenders and I haven't quite heard it broken down that way. So that helps me understand a little bit better what to look for. And I was actually taking notes here for myself while you were talking. So I'm like, okay, so I know these are the things, to tell people to kind of watch out for or look out for. So with that being
Mhm.
said, we're gonna go ahead and take a quick commercial break, and then when we come back, we're gonna touch on lending for people like myself who are self-employed, or like if you're not on salary, how to get qualified if you're not a regular salaried employee. So we'll go ahead and take a break, and we'll see you guys in about 2 minutes.